Hello everyone and welcome back to Wargame Red Dragon. We have reached the rank of Captain, and this is another ranked game, but instead of looking at my own perspective, I'm looking at my opponent's. Now, he is unranked, and whenever you see this, particularly in a ranked game, one of two things is true. Either one, they really are that new, or two, it's a smurf. And this doesn't happen all the time. I'd say case one is more likely, but case two is something that you see, and so I deployed as though this was against a smurf, because quite frankly, I've had my keister handed to me by corporals and sergeants with, stats after the game. It's like, 3 games, and they're phenomenal. So, it does happen from time to time, and I was being a little wary. But we're looking at his perspective today just because I did want to give some comments, some feedback on it, treating it almost like a community cast with myself as the opponent. Now, I do know what I did most of the time, but just to get into it, just to see what he did here, let's take a quick look. He has a detachment headed over into Bravo, and he's bringing a T-80. Most times you won't see tanks really crossing the river over on this side, along with a T-55 MTLBV, no real long-range punch, no ATGMs, anything like that. And then on the other side we have a T-80U that's headed up toward Golf, and we have a main detachment which is headed over toward Golf, along with a small one in Foxtrot. Now, right away, there are some things that I like and some things that I don't. The first thing that I like, this is a command tank. This is not a command jeep. This is not something fragile that can die right away. It's good, and he has command infantry over in his 2-pointer, which maybe I would have switched these, but these are both good choices, and while it's not the beefiest, best command tank in existence, it is still better than a 5-strength Jeep for 100 points. So that is something good right away. And then if you look at the number where he's spending his points, there's a lot going over to Golf. This is where he wants to fight, and that also is a very good thing, because oftentimes, particularly newer players, will split up their points evenly across the entirety of a map, and the result is that you lose a push in every direction because you don't have enough to get through your opponent's defensive line, and they have more than enough to just blow right past you. And actually, these are going over. Nothing in Foxtrot, maybe that is a tad light. I did kind of forget about that. Gazelle 341F Canon is just popping up there to see what we can see. Now, I went for a light hold in Golf myself, and that's what you can see happening right here as he does take down my Gazelle. And this is going to be a little interesting. So if he gets his rocket pods online, there it is, there's a dead Vab and all that, but I do still have some detachment here, and now I know this is where he's at least going with an MI8 MTV. It's probably where we're going to see a lot more of an investment. I will also just say, you need something here, you really do. It doesn't have to be a lot, it can be recon infantry, it can be something like that, but imagine my column just went right up Foxtrot, right down into Alpha, there you go, it's over. And that won't happen every time, but it will certainly happen some of the time, so you just do have to be a little bit cautious, you have to be a little bit aware of that. It's a possibility, yeah. You'll see it from time to time. Now, his MI8 MTV got an ammo box hit and is getting taken out by my Commando's Para, but I didn't really have anti-air over here. Most of my deployment was into Foxtrot and Bravo, believe it or not, so it was a little bit of a goofy mismatch. You do have that sometimes. And right now we see the T-80U, we see the T-80, we see the scratch hits, we see all this stuff moving up. This pressure is very reminiscent of the game against Ultra Squid a little while ago, and just as that starts happening, I get his command infantry on this side. That's right, I did the reach around strategy over here in Bravo, where you're going just quick wheels, quick infantry, quick motorized deployment around the side and into Bravo, and you try and clear this from the back end forward and then from the front end into the Bravo as well, and just put pressure on Alpha, and right away that does distract him. So if we take a look, this is not really being microed all that much. So the VDV-90 are just sort of sitting there sparring with Commando's Para at range. The Morskaya Pechota, which I think are always a bit of a bad choice. We did of course have this discussed in the unit comparison videos talking about USSR. Morskaya are just a little overpriced for what they do, generally speaking, or at least that's the opinion of our erstwhile expert at the time. And I don't know, I really don't like them so much. I tend to agree with that perspective. Now, this is good. He's getting it moving. He's not letting himself get completely too distracted, but the tanks are over here not really doing much of anything at all. And for 150 points, that T-80U does need to see some action. I would have preferred to see it come down this way, maybe take a position in the woods right here, maybe take a position on the high ground and push down in. And you can see when I am just figuring out, okay, this is where he is, this is where he is, we're just moving reservists forward. We actually see the T-80 there as well, and I now have Commando Marine on this side clearing it out. Now, I did feel kind of bad about this at the time. Seeing what was in here, I was thinking to myself, okay, this guy is unranked, he's not a smurf. We're dealing with probably a newer player, not the newest of players, sure, but Certainly somebody who is doing non-traditional openings, and not in that way that lieutenant generals, brigadier generals, and all those guys do, where you sit there going, why are you doing, oh man, I just lost, didn't I? So I don't want to be too harsh on it. I'm showing, because this, to me, yeah, okay, this was a little rude. But we don't actually get the kill, so for right now, it was just a bit of a, here, Gazelle, be aware of this. And then I don't follow up immediately with any sort of bomb, any sort of artillery on it. I'm just trying to say, hey, this can happen. You should have seen it over here, because we saw it was visible to him for a little bit, and there's nothing in Echo at all. So, people are going to do that. People are going to punish him for it harder than I did just there, and I think it's entirely fair just to say, hey, we found it, we're not going to do anything about it right now, but we did find it, and you should know that we found it. You should be moving this, immediately move this, because bombers always get through. At least when you least want them to, they do get through, and you have to be aware of that, careful about it. The second I see somebody's recon helicopter over this side, I'm moving this, I'm setting up a Scredget or two, even if it does come with VDV in it, just something to take that out, probably putting a base OSA right about here, which can cover off large sections of Alpha as well as the skies around Bravo, and probably getting a recon helicopter, sending it over. If you don't have a cheap one as USSR, which is definitely a possibility, you can still do that with a transport helicopter. It's not the best, but you can do that way as well. And he is setting up a little bit of base defense. It looks like an MTLBV over on that side. Now, Bravo is locked down for blue, for me, and these VABs are just going to see what they can see. A bit of a recon in force with the VABs, just, that kind of changed my mind. Yeah, I don't know. He saw them come in here. I probably assumed that he saw them come in. It's just, at this point, I didn't really, I mean, how do you follow up on this, right? We've cleared out the infantry in Gulf. I'm gathering my own push. I'm going to take my time about it. There's no real reason to go any faster than that, because with Bravo gone, as long as I have Foxtrot contested, that is at least a tie for me, right? He can countercap Gulf, in which case I get a +1, or if he clears me out completely, it's a +0. So it's a tie to a win, and that is the sort of thing that you're looking for in a ranked game. I don't tend to be one of the guys who has the just super aggressive opener all the time, or super aggressive follow-up. I like to sit with the +1 for a little bit. It's a bit of a problem, but we do take down an Mi-28. Now, this is the other part of why I cast this particular replay from this perspective. Whenever you see someone successfully do this push around Bravo, they have anti-air. Can almost guarantee it. So that Mi-28 is 130 points that flew over here and got wrecked by a Recon Mistral, if memory serves. It's sitting right about here, is my guess, or right about there. One of those two places. And that Mi-28, if it had been spent on the ground, would have actually been challenging to deal with on this side. So we think about that. That could be a couple of infantry, MTLBVs, could be a couple of VDV-90 and Scredgets, because Scredgets can shoot at infantry decently well. Not the best range, 10-50 meter range on the ZU-23-2s, but they definitely can sort of sit behind your infantry, help you push into the woods here. And if there's a way to push this back, it's early. It's before the player on the other side has the time to reinforce into Bravo, to take these towns, to keep moving forward here, and really just using the most of that zone. So you do have to be careful with that. You do have to be just, I'm sorry if you guys heard that loud ping right there. I'm dealing with quite a lot of things today, and I wanted to get a recording done as well. So it does happen. Now, we've cleared out most of Foxtrot, and this is looking pretty grim here for the Red 4 player, but if you notice, there's still a lot of time left in the replay, and that's where my biggest compliment comes in for Adler. This was a very persistent game, and he was really just not scared of my ticking conquest points, was not scared of my Panzergren. This is a nice pushback. The Scredgets sitting behind the VDV exactly like I said they should, and getting in a lot of burst damage as well. Now, my Panzergren are being pulled back. We should be able to escape here, but that stun, that last-minute stun, is so difficult to deal with, so difficult to escape from. The Panzergren are actually split up because one of the groups got stunned. The other one didn't, but it still was just a little unpleasant. Now, the Martyr 2 is going around. This I had high hopes for, but Morskaya Pechotza, as much as I don't like them, did figure out a way to pound into that side armor on the Martyr 2, or even rear armor, I think it was, because that was, what, 3 back armor against the 14 AP powers, a one-shot kill, so that's going to be, yeah, I'm not really sure how that happened. You would need 16 AP heat to get a one-shot kill on 2 armor, let alone 3, which I think goes up to 19. So, at this point in the Scredgets, the VDV rotating over, kills some more Panzergren. I was really impressed by this combination. I'm going to give it a try myself. There's the Scredgets sticking right close to their infantry, are going to do pretty good work, but Legion 90 are here. We do take out the T-80U, and I mean, that is a big loss. If we take a look at the overall field right now, Morskaya are holding down the entirety of Bravo Foxtrot. I haven't yet run through Foxtrot down the middle, right down the pipe trying to do it, but even when I do, there's Morskaya here, BTR 90 here, but just think about the expense, right? 30 points to the BTR 90, 25 points for the Morskaya Pechota, and what's your force projection? The Morskaya don't have any sort of recon, so the BTR 90 is firing at whatever these guys get close enough to see without proper optics. And then the BTR 90 itself, while it is good, it's good in part because it has 3 frontal armor on wheels. For entrenched positions, you need something slower, you need something with more armor. A single BMPT here would handle a lot more than this combination, and would be 5 points more expensive. Now, granted, you'd still need recon, but you know, that's just another issue, shall we say. So let's speed up to speed 2 here and keep him moving in this game, as I'm just sending a helicopter down. We're going to see what he runs into, if anything, and not much of anything, so I'm just kind of going left, going right, seeing what we can see, and we did actually spot the OSA AKM moving over, so that's why I evacuated to the right-hand side. Now, bogged down by reservists, these Morskaya will get the kills there, the MTLBVs will get the kills there. Reservists, of course, are very cheap, very combat ineffective, but it tells me where these Morskaya are, it tells me what he has over on this side, and, you know, I'm fine with that. We know that there's Morskaya there now, we know that there's still the Skreshets over on this side as well, and the Grad, actually, believe it or not, missed my ATGM. So ATGM's firing from right here, the Grad fired a little bit farther back, and we're going to get a couple of shots in. This is what makes this this attack so deadly, right? We had anti-air up here as well, we have ATGMs right here. Anything that crosses this bridge, the ATGMs are going to be able to hit, and there's just a little bit of cluster return fire on the Grad. So whenever you have artillery, fire, move, do not stay in one place, you will get counter-fired, and sometimes that dispersion on the counterfire won't exactly get the kill the first time around, but it still is less than pleasant. And we actually do ping the T-72K1 right here. If that was a Jeep, that would be dead. So, hey, there you go. This is a nice choice. It ended up saving him the ability to deploy into Alpha and an early end to the game, because you lose this, and it's pretty much all over. You're going to have to pack up the Command Noah Haute Ligne, which newer players are probably not going to be able to do that all that well. You're going to be walking this back across. That +2 while it's gone is a big tick for your opponent. And so the command tank really just came in clutch right here. Just beautiful, beautiful buy, beautiful positioning. Well, actually, I probably would have put it a little farther back. I think he was intending to use the main gun if I pushed in. That's never really a good decision, but certainly a better buy than a command jeep nonetheless. And this is another thing. So all of these expensive Morskaya are getting attacked by a Cassiope. It's a 40-point helicopter with an autocannon. This is, let's see, 50, 100 points of infantry, let alone their transports, which have already died, by the way. And the Cassiope is just sitting there going, okay, yep, this is good. We're going to pay for ourselves, we're going to up-vet ourselves, we have still more ammunition on that autocannon, more than enough, and actually I run out right there after killing about 1.5 units of Morskaya Pechota, but, I don't know, it was just Morskaya with nothing backing them like an Osa. This guy was on wheels, he was moving over before. If you're going to do a dedicated push into Bravo, keep him going. This was good. And now it's too late. So get the OSS set up right about here. There are woods right here, in case you weren't aware of that. There's woods that run down right here. And I know that there's going to be a lot of more experienced players watching this saying, okay, well, this is kind of getting a little bit gratuitous. I know all these things, but I don't know, I've done new player videos before. I've done videos with flipped, you know, where I'm the opponent instead of the main person during the replay. And every once in a while, there are just a couple things that I like enough to compliment, while still thinking that there are good things to think about, that this is what I look at. And so that's my rationale here. Now, T-80s going around the side, and we've already seen an ATGM firing from this position. The Grad has not had time to fire again. There's the ATGM right now. These guys need to stop, they need to turn and face, because that is going to be, if it wasn't rolled a miss, that's going to be a shot onto rear or side armor for the T-80s. That's going to get an easy kill for them. Plus, there's fire coming over from this side of the bridge, so whenever your opponent secures this side of Bravo, they're probably going to push across the bridge. Depending on what faction you're facing, there could be Manpads teams here, there could be ATGMs. As it is, I just had, I think, a cheap vehicle. No, that's an AMX-10RC, so a recon tank going in, and this is a really deadly split. So the T-80s have kept moving, they've kept their side armor pointed, and that's going to be just, yeah, even though they do get my tank right there, that's going to be worth it for me. 65 points traded for 40. And I still have vision, that ATGM still has another missile left, and if we can land another hit, that's another kill. These guys needed to be microed. and probably needed to not come over here at all. If you're going to retake this, there's town, 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 there's a small gap here, then more town. Get your Morskaya. It's the thing that they are arguably good at is clearing out line infantry, because they have 15 strength and shock training. Get them in here and clear that stuff out. You really need to do that before you can send stuff over. It's going to get spotted, it's going to get killed, it's going to have a really bad day. Now, I do get some Commander Marine up here. We also were just sparring with the remnants over in Gulf, and the Morskaya were dead. The MTLVVs, only one of them left alive out of gas, but there were replacement VDV that I didn't expect. So, I mean, as far as keeping that infantry fight going in the woods there, very nicely done to my opponent. The VDV were a surprise. It's just going to be a little bit too little too late. If Bravo wasn't lost, if Fox was contested, that fight in Gulf would have been right there a good return on investment for my opponent. So, VDV 90, they're great. The Vampires are amazing. 24 AP power, 70% accuracy, long range. Range scaling does matter there as well. They'll have increased accuracy for that. So all that could be pretty nice. Now, I do overextend a little bit. I've lost my recon tanks that were headed down here. I've lost everything there. And my rolling threes get out a little bit ahead of where they should be, which is about to get reversed. We'll go back up that hill, but this should tell you, don't buy helicopters, don't buy planes. 2 rolling threes, and admittedly their gun's on right now. Wow, what was happening to my micro? Oh! I think I was sending him, I think I was using the chat function at the time. I think I was just saying, hey, you know, a good game, you know, are you a newer player, anything like that. I was just asking questions about it. I don't know, I like to send people messages in games like this. I think it's just, yeah, you may as well, right? Worst case, you make a new friend and can catch some other games around, or can offer feedback or receive feedback when you lose. I can't tell you how many times I've lost this game and just put in the chat, hey, do you have any feedback for me? What did I do wrong? The things I could have done better. Or, for example, you pushed me over an X, Y, or Z location, and I just wasn't ready for it. What could I have done better to prepare against that specific push? And then you get advice directly from the people who beat you, so that's pretty invaluable advice. Now, he did actually kill a rolling 3 with a T-80. As I said, my micro, they should never have come down here. They should have always stayed up on that high ground, even if they were supporting me there. But the PH2 Tiger is able to get some revenge, and there's not enough there to kill it. So at this point, usually I think we would have seen a surrender. And because of that, we're going to go a little quickly, as most of the rest of the game. Sorry for that constant alarm. There's really no way that I'm aware of to turn that off. Most of the rest of the game is a little bit more one-sided than previously, just because of the number of tools that are gone. But I did just want to say, you know, shout out to Adler for a really scrappy game and not surrendering all the way through. And he's making me win it, and that's entirely fair. Now, some people will say, oh, but the game is probably over, just, you know, get a new game going, it's a waste of time. I don't think so. I think that, generally speaking, as long as you're willing to scrap, as long as you're willing to fight, you can still learn from it. Because even when you're this badly outnumbered now, because there's nothing in Golf, nothing in Fox, nothing in Bravo, any engagement that you do take is still worthwhile as a learning experience, and seeing how people push or don't is a good thing as well. And you'll notice, for right now, I'm not pushing in. I don't need to. What I need to do is I need to cap Bravo, I need to cap Golf, I need to turn this into a ticking +3, and then I win the game very quickly. So that's the cap in Golf. You should have the one in Bravo going pretty soon, and his Grad did, I think, just there, kill my ATGM team. Oh no, it's over here. He gets it eventually with it, so that's pretty nice. This was also a bit of a, hey, I can see you. So my cluster was targeted a little bit ahead of his T-80s, and you can see most of the shots are landing right there as well. And then we're just saying, okay, yeah, you need to move this. I know this is a cluster target, and he does move it out. So nice control there from Adler, getting out of that bad situation. More Morskaya on the side, more BTR-90s on the side, and at this point, it probably doesn't matter too much. But again, I just don't think this is a very effective card. So it's going to be pretty expensive. The BTR-90 is going to cut down on your availability off the Morskaya as well, and it's a very early game card, because later in the game it's more points than you want to spend in order to get your reinforcements up to where they need to go. Think about it this way. So for that, for 80 points, which is admittedly a bit more, I get 2 main tank guns on wheels. And, I don't know, I think that it's just much more flexible. Well, I guess it's not because of the infantry, though. Talking myself in circles with this, I do apologize. Sometimes it does happen, probably more often than I would like to admit. So let's just go through here and see what units did well, because every time you lose a game, you should take a look at what units did well, what units did poorly. Tiger, just coming in to pop that +2 zone, and now we get it to +5, which does end the game pretty quickly here, only a couple minutes left. Of course, +5 is just a lot of points per minute. We can see that going on right now as well. So, yeah, this is pretty over. And a little bit mean, but he does nearly get one of my tigers, so, you know, I guess it works out kind of okay for him. So, let's take a look. What units did well? His Osa AKM killed a Gazelle and a Cassiope, and if he'd been moved a little bit more preemptively, he could have gotten a couple other kills. I think the Osa AKM buy did have a lot of potential there. Skretchets, these are the ones that were fighting in the woods, did very well. That Skretchet killed a Gazelle, which is exactly what it's there to do. It killed Panzergren 90, it killed Legion 90, just providing backup fire support against infantry that didn't target the Skretchets when they should have, and then got stunned and got taken out. So, pretty decent there. I like the card of VDV-90 in Skretchets better than I like the card of Morskaya Pechota in the BTR-90. Plus, it's cheaper, right? It's cheaper, it is slower, but that's the trade-off that you're going to go to. Because let's look through for the kills for the Morskaya Pechota here. They killed some Commandos Para, they killed a couple of AMXs, a Lucky Shot, and a Martyr 2, and, I guess they got both the Martyr 2s. Well, fair enough, fair enough. But the VDV-90 did all of that and so much more. So they were winning individual fights against against Legion 90. They were getting some Volks Milans. They were getting this one got a Leopard 2A1 that was in the woods, which that really sucked. That was the push in the center of the map that we didn't really see during the replay. But Morskaya Pechota aren't going to get that kill, and right there, that's 100 points. That's so impactful. And if you can do that in a game that's a bit more even, that can be a game winner, or at least it can be a winner for that particular defense or for your particular push. So VDV-90, check them out. They should be really good. Adler, if you see this, I would scrap the Morskaya Pechota card and just go heavily on cheaper Motostrelki because you need more numbers, and then VDV-90 to really win those knife fights in woods that you need. That's the punch of the Vampire anti-tank gun, anti-tank rifle? No. Goodness gracious, I'm tongue-tied. Where you just need that extra punch. So that's going to be all I've got for you guys today. If you do like this sort of thing, liked ranked games and all of that, most of them will be from my perspective. Please don't hesitate to leave a like, share, subscribe, and all that YouTuber nonsense, and we'll see you guys again real soon.